Are we mute at the moment or no?
I'm just cleaning up.
Great. Can you hear us, Lee?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Great.
Good.
Okay.
Sorry, I have no idea what happened, but so anyway, let me call a meeting of the Cemetery Commission to order for June 14th. And public comments, no public here, but I do have a couple of commissioner comments that I want to make before we go into this. Oh, that's me. See, this is what I mean. Oh. When I turn off. Okay, let me start by saying apologizing for the mess or trying to get a connection here.
Just very quickly, to my fellow commissioners, you're the ones that had to wait. My airplane's not till tomorrow morning.
Okay, great. All right, first, I attended the Maria Mitchell Association Cemetery Stone Cleaning program last Saturday, and it was very interesting. She went out, there was a small group of us. I think there were maybe 10 of us that were there. And
sorry, Alan, venue, where were you?
We were at Prospect Hill Cemetery, and this was the Maria Mitchell Association. I had noticed an ad in Daybreak or Nantucket Compass about the Maria Mitchell Association having a gravestone cleaning workshop.
Oh, okay.
I was curious, so I signed up for it, and it was interesting. She explained all the things that we already know, as far as you got to be very careful, you have to know what you're doing, you have to use the right kind of brushes and all that sort of thing. And yeah. And so anyway, it was an interesting program. I asked her specifically about, stone cleaning and what the regulations were. And she said that Prospect Hill does allow individuals to clean their own stones if they're, if they're family members or whatever. And so anyway, I asked her, I said, Charlie had mentioned that the person who did the repairs at Old North Cemetery suggested that having volunteers do cleaning stones, that they really needed supervision. And I think that's pretty obvious to, particularly to us. So anyway, that was the question I had. I did find a source for the D2. There are a number of different places where it's available. And so I think we might want to explore seeing if we can get some volunteers together, do a training for them to, let them, just show them actually how it all works.
Maybe we could get Jason to repeat that program for us.
Oh, well, it's pretty straightforward. I think we already know what, and we do have instructions here, or Jason might be glad to do it. So anyway, that was one possibility. If we could train a group of volunteers, students or adults or anyone who is interested, to have a training program. And then any work that we did in the cemeteries, of course, we'd need to have somebody there to supervise.
One of us. One of us.
One of us, yeah, there to supervise. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that, as I said, it was Saturday, so I couldn't get it into the agenda for that, so I just put it under the commissioner comments there.
Helen, a quick thought. It's been a long time since I did the 3-finger Boy Scout salute thingy. But if we have contact with the Scouts, maybe they'll undertake such things for their service badges. I believe they're expected to do service somewhere. And if we can get on their list, if we can get on their good side, that is to say, on.
I wonder if it could be an Eagle Scout project.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a possibility. Charlie, do you have anything to add there? Because you talked with,
Yeah, so I had talked with Walter about this, and I know last meeting, we discussed maybe having the young gentleman that help us out for the summer, do some stone cleaning and D2 solution. And when talking to Walter, he was very hesitant about, you got to really watch what you're doing. He said even them as professionals have had times where they've had to stop mid-process and change what they're doing very quickly, because before you know it, some of these stones, especially in the older cemeteries, are so old and fragile that if you scrub too hard, you might take an inscription completely off. So he had some reservations about volunteers and things like that. And, cycling back with him, usually a D2 solution gets more than one application. So it may be that we have, the professionals come in and do the initial cleaning, especially some of the older cemeteries and the older stones. And then maybe we could have volunteers come back through and do the subsequent applications of D2, where it's more just spraying down the stone instead of getting in and scrubbing off lichen and stuff like that. So we're not worried about, somebody going to an old limestone. And the next thing you know, they're 2 brush strokes in with a wire brush and we've lost the last name.
Yeah, I like that idea.
that makes a lot of sense.
all right, so that's something we can think about and, think about how we want to organize that. One other thing, I was at Dick Mack's funeral yesterday up at Prospect Hill. And while I was up there, I met who was it? Somebody from the town. She's the one who had posted about the VFW getting a grant for stones, for memorial stones. So she came over, introduced herself. I told her she knew who I was. And she said, the grant is not for memorial stones, they're for memorial cemetery markers.
Is that flag holders? Flag holders?
Flag holders, basically, the flag holders.
Okay.
So I told her, okay. So anyway, I know that came up last time at our meeting that
That's
where's
great.
that money, the money is.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So anyway, it's not for cemetery monuments, it's for the markers. Those are 2 comments items. Okay, next item is approval of our minutes from May 10th.
Alan, just very quickly, it was at a NHA Historic Association event that I was able to chat with Niles Parker about the Cemetery Commission. And he said that he and Amanda Holmes were very excited about the potential for linking up and that she would get in touch with us. So I did send them a note thanking them. And this is a case of stay tuned until we get the rest of the story, because they have not yet written. But if anybody has contact with Amanda or Niles.
Amelia, not Amanda.
Amelia, thank you. Just a quick word might be useful.
Yeah, love to do that with both Niles and Amelia. I'm glad that they're interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, minutes, the minutes from our May 10th meeting were circulated. Any omissions, errors, anything? I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, Fran and Barbara?
Either one.
No, Who moved?
Scotty moved and Barbara seconded.
Now I got it.
Okay, all in favor?
Oops.
You gotta
Yeah.
get-
Roll call.
Aye.
Barbara,
I,
Scotty,
Aye.
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Okay, lot sales. Since last meeting,
There's some action.
we did Sandoli, Bill Sandoli from the place on down the road there.
167 Rock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this was his son who
Yeah.
came and
Jesse?
Jesse.
so Jesse came, I met with him at the cemetery, showed him what we had, so he filled out an application for C-22 and it was received with a check to DPW in Decara, so Sandoli lot C-22 then is approved.
Okay.
Now-
Alan, if you could just carefully repeat the names, please.
Yes, Jesse Sandoli, Sandole.
And it's Jesse, it's Jesse.
Yes,
Matt? Not his grave, it's his.
No, Jesse is the son. He's the one who bought he's the one who bought the lot, so it's for his father, Bill Sandoli.
You'll be in one side.
good,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, and then we had one other, I met with Tanya Eldridge, and I showed her what we had available, and I explained to her, as I do with everyone, that we have set aside other lots. And they decided they would like to go for E2, even though we haven't laid out E2.
Okay.
Now, what they were looking for is one closest to the woods. So I put down on the agenda here E1 or E2
Oh, I
because
see.
when I was out there, I wasn't sure how far into, I think there was a tree in the space there. So I told her that I would hold E1 or E2 for her, and I would call her once that lot was in the ground and laid out and so on, and then she could fill out the necessary paperwork.
Okay, and then Rhoda.
And then Rhoda. Rhoda Weinman contacted me, this was a while ago, as soon as she saw the little flags in the cemetery. And she said, what's going on at the cemetery? And her husband
Big development.
is up there. He is in F9.
Yeah.
And of course, she doesn't want him to be crowded. So the funny thing is, when I asked her where she was going to put the hole for her husband. And she went out to the cemetery, because she lives right around the corner there. And she said, oh, but there's another stone right over here. I want to put it down at the bottom. I told her, I said, look, people are all over. And so anyway, I told her I would hold lot F8 for her, which is next to her husband. And just so he wouldn't feel crowded in the cemetery. So
when you're holding it, does that mean it's hers?
no, that means that I won't offer to anyone else until, first of all, we have the lots laid out, and then I'll approach her.
If I even new law?
Yeah,
So we laid out.
yeah, this would be a newly
Yeah.
created lot.
Okay.
So anyway, those are the lots then. So Rhoda Weinman for lot F8, Tanya Eldridge for E1 or E2, and I'll simply hold those lots until we have them laid out, and then I'll contact both people and see if they want to continue.
Alan, it sounds as if the only piece of business is that the commission needs to approve the sale of C-22. Am I?
Yeah.
Yes,
That's, oh, well, Didn't we just do that?
No,
we
we
don't have to vote on
send in the check.
Yeah.
We actually have to,
Well, I suppose, okay, so I would entertain a motion to,
Since
so,
I brought it up, Lee moves.
I'm sorry.
We didn't hear that.
Since I brought up the issue, I'll move the approval of the sale of lot C22 to the Sandoli family.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
no,
Barbara,
Aye.
Scotty, Fran,
I,
and chair votes aye, unanimous.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lee.
I've already written down unanimous.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, layout of new lots at Pulpus.
We got first now.
Talk about another horror bill. I'm sorry. I spent 3 days up at Pulpus Cemetery with the medallions that we have and so on. And I was trying to lay out, this is part of what we're doing, this. Can you,
It's okay. I won't be able to see it.
all right. So what I was aiming to do is to lay out these lots from C through G, 2 through 8. Those are the new ones here.
yeah,
And the first day that I was out there, I think there are 100 and I don't know how many of these discs. What I found is each disc has 4 different
yeah.
fittings on it, or different sites. So you have to, get them all lined up and all that sort of thing. So I went through, I had difficulty finding them. I had left a box in my car, and so the second day that I went out, I had all the markers.
Yeah.
And I was trying to find the ones that fit in this section. I found 7 markers that I could use in here. And the other ones, after going through all the other ones, I still haven't been able to locate the right ones.
Oh dear.
But, well, and the part of the issue is it's very complicated because there's a letter and a number on each of the 4 different corners.
Do you,
So that, the way they are, they're sort of arranged like, this. You have a circular disc and then you have the numbers of the thing here. So the problem I was having was trying to, figure out which ones were which. You would think it'd be pretty simple. I was looking for all the C ones and the D, or the C and D and blah, 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 all that sort of thing. And
see, Charlie dropped the box and he had to throw them all back in.
okay,
Do you need help? To do
I
this?
do.
Okay, do
Do
you have time Friday? I can make time on Friday during the day. And we can go up there for a couple hours. And we can string it, you can get another money on it.
Okay.
Cemetery commissioner.
I would volunteer, but I'm doing the book festival all day.
Okay, yeah, I am on Friday. What time do you want? Okay, or you want to give me a call? You're ready? Okay, you can give me a call.
I'm doing that, and then positive resolution to this.
So I had spoken to Alan about possibly having the young men who were going to help us with the cleaning might be able to assist in putting these into the ground.
Well, that's not the problem. Putting them into the ground is the easy part. Trying to find which ones go and have all the 4 corners matching. I went through them again for the 3rd day when I went out there, and I was trying to,
I can help you. I know that place pretty well.
okay.
And I'll bring my string lines, okay?
Oh, good. Well, I have the string that's
All right.
that's still out there, but
Let's just see how many we can get on Friday in the
Okay.
morning, and I'll call you. If that helps out a lot.
Sure, that will help.
yeah, well, as I say, I was getting to the point where I said, I was gonna,
It can get very, very confusing, I imagine. too.
right, well, I have each one of these pieces of paper here, there are what, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have the numbers on them. And, you know, all the whatever, but they're sort of a random thing.
We'll figure it out.
Okay. So anyway, Scotty and I
It'll make you shine, Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, I worked top to bottom, right to left. Off of the
Okay.
map. And
All
that's how they were, and I can email my originals where I wrote those all out.
Yeah,
And
well,
I think what they did is they broke down my originals into those pieces of papers to, you know, and when they bundled them, that's the group that was all on each bundle.
yeah, we'll figure it
It'd
out.
be great if you could email that.
Yeah, so it's just, you know, it's finding the start and then laying out in the same pattern that they either grouped in, you know, if you're trying to lay out north to south, they're all grouped east to west, you'll be fighting yourself.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, Charlie, I have the papers that you printed out.
Okay, yeah, you have the originals.
Yeah, I have, well, yeah, these are the copy you made for.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got these.
so still email me what you can,
Sure.
if you can find it, yeah.
Or you can take these. and-
Actually, Charlie, look, I've got them right here.
See how good I am? It's fast.
Yeah,
Ask and you shall receive.
Okay, so anyway, that's the next step. I did get 7 of them in the ground that I could locate and so on.
so we'll review those first.
But I even have a separate map of which ones I've circled, so.
Right, that's good.
Okay, next item, the Pulpus transfer. I have no news, no update on
Does
this.
anyone have an appetite for a motion from me to move that we get someone in our organization to write a letter to the lawyer and the Hicks to see if they're serious in moving forward with this and to get a response by the next meeting? Because otherwise, and if not, then we'll just continue. laying
Because
out
it did
plots.
seem when we met with
Because
the
we
young
really need
man,
to hear about
That
it. Just
he
need
was-
to remote.
he was gonna get right on it.
Yeah,
Right, yeah, exactly. And
I think that's a good idea for us to write a letter to the lawyer from our commission saying, I mean, I think we should discuss it before we move it,
right.
but I think it's worth considering.
Mhm.
Very short and sweet, you know,
Keep going
we
for it.
met on such and such a date. We wanted to move it forward. It is now, summer. And could we have a response by the, whatever the next
Our
meeting
next
was,
meeting.
well,
July 12th?
yeah. Seems like months ago when we talked about this, my feeling was that, look, we don't need the transfer. It's not, the only real beneficiary of this whole thing is they get rid of their encroachment and they have their proper setback because it is a,
I think we need to have that affirmed by the lawyer because he seemed to indicate that we were committed when we talked. with him.
well, yeah, that was Ken Bogrand who's thought we were somehow committed to it.
You're right, it was Ken.
And I asked Ken, I said, well, what kind of commitment do we have? And he said,
And Ellen, I'm just going to present a slightly contrary view. I think we must proceed with this swap. There are modest benefits for us. I agree with you. There are more for them. But let's put their attorney on notice, as Barbara suggests, and hope that they can come through.
I totally agree that to proceed with the swap. It's just, I'd like to see some action.
Yeah.
And response and.
so,
Because we could be waiting 5 years and all.
We've
agree.
already-
That's the
Right.
swap.
well, in my mind, I've already written it up, but nonetheless.
I prefer the swap.
Yeah.
Personally.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I don't want to continue with what we have.
Yeah.
I think it's beneficial for both parties to do the swap.
All right.
I'm just trying to get a response.
Okay.
So Alan, do you think you can write a letter that
Yeah.
just fairly short? That, we're,
And maybe email a draft to all the commissioners to look at. so that we can get this going before the next meeting.
Right.
That would be
Okay.
really nice.
So,
Action item.
so the action is to write the letter to their
To
attorney
the
Yeah.
attorney.
and a copy to the Hicks.
I would.
No, yeah, why not?
And just
For a response to the adjustment we had made
Yeah.
with the notch
Yeah.
Mhm.
and whether they want to do it or not.
Okay.
By our next meeting.
Like a response for the next meeting,
Yeah.
yeah, I would keep it short, but you know, you
Yeah.
might even reference that we met with, we
Yeah,
met
the
with
date
you,
on which, yeah,
the date on which we met.
and the date of the letter, you know,
Yeah.
and find out, you know.
Yeah.
um,
Okay, I will work on that letter, and also what I'll do is, once I get a draft of it, I'll send it out to the commissioners and.
I'll need a seconder and some votes. So I'd like to move that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I would
I think
like
I've
to
never
move
done this.
everything that Alan just wrote down.
I know, this is, okay. So we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, we have
We met on, March 20th.
Right.
With the lawyer. Cemetery field trip, Hopeless. March 20th,
What's happening?
That's when we met.
that's when we met the lawyer out there,
I see.
I think we should refer to the date.
Good vote.
Right, sorry.
Alan, having said I'm entirely for this, I will suggest that we cover our responsibilities by letting town manager or her designate know. Before we send the letter, we ought to let somebody in the chain of command know what we're doing.
Right, well, Ken Bogran would be sort of the point person, so maybe I'll address the letter to the Hicks, to their
Lawyer.
attorney, and to Ken Bogran.
That'll do.
Do we have to do it before we send the letter to their lawyer? Because if we, I'm just afraid we're not gonna get this out if we do that.
Yeah, I think that those are the three principal people who are involved in this. And
But
Ken-
that's not what Lee is
But Lee
talking
is
about.
saying-
Lee is saying we need to run it by somebody in the town administration
Before we
before
send.
we can send the letter.
Yeah, I understand all the pieces. I've also been chastised by bosses for not keeping them informed. It hurt. And so what I'm suggesting is that we give it to them, our superiors, with a day or two for them to react, and then we'll send it.
So the draft to somebody in the town manager's office with 2 days to respond, after which we will send the letter to.
Yeah,
Okay,
something like that. Now, we are an independent commission, which is different from being a town or board-appointed committee. I think that gives us a little more latitude. But I still think we ought to be able to say to town manager, well, we did send you a copy before we mailed it.
that's, if we send it and say, please respond within 2 working days, and they don't, we can assume that we have the go-ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems like a good move.
Okay.
Do we have to vote on it?
Let's be as polite as we can. Is it possible to have your response within 2 or 3 days?
Just,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so,
Okay, so, sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
Are you voting?
Oh, we
No.
have a motion and a second.
Yeah.
And, okay, so Barbara,
Aye.
Scotty,
Aye.
Fran,
Aye,
chair votes aye. And,
I as well.
great, okay,
Charlie's up.
okay.
poor
monument-
Charlie has been waiting quite a while.
I know, sorry, Charlie. Oh, man. Okay.
So not much new in the way of monument restoration work. We're still kind of waiting for funds. To roll over the new year. I did get a quote from an amended quote from Walter from LMC Contracting for Quaker Cemetery.
Yes.
It's increased from the original quote that he gave me. Because I asked him to adjust it to include a D2 treatment on all stones in the cemetery.
Yeah.
Instead of, I think the original quote was to repair, I believe, 13 stones that were either knocked over or leaning, and then the standard scope was to repair and treat those. So I asked him to treat all of them, even though all the stones look pretty good. It would probably end up with some really, really white, stones in there if we only treated 13. So I asked him to amend to treat the entire cemetery. So that quote has come in at $9,225.06, which puts us under our procurement requirements. So we can, I believe I'll get access to the funds end of July is when it opens up that we can start writing purchase orders. And so if everyone's comfortable with the work that's been completed and we'd like to offer them to go ahead, I will kind of pre-authorize him to start making some mobilization things if he's got to start figuring out boats and that sort of stuff to come in to work on that. And then in the meantime, I'm still working on getting some revised numbers from him in terms of what it will cost to just treat some stones with D2 so that I can pull together some estimates for the other cemeteries as to how much funding we're going to need to finish. And then I believe we were.
May I just read a number back to you? 9220.06.
922506.
922506. Got it. Thank you.
Charlie, can I ask a question? There were a few things still to be done in Old North. One of the things was the broken stone to cut it off and set it up again. The one that he had treated and then it fell and broke. And we were talking with him last time about simply cutting it off below the inscription and setting it up. So do we have any commitment to doing those various things that we talked about?
He was still going to get back to me on that.
Okay.
They did visit when they were out here. They did visit Old North, and the fallen stone is one that was previously repaired.
Yeah.
So they were gonna reevaluate that. So I will follow up with him
Okay. Thank
on those items because he said they did go over and they took a walk around and took a look at the fallen stones, and so he was gonna put some stuff together for me.
you. Okay.
Lee, I think last time we had talked, you had mentioned that you might be able to put your hands on the documents that were used to request CPC funds for the original restoration work. Do we know if we
I
have
did.
those?
I thought I sent them to Alan.
Or,
After we hang up, I'll dig through my file and send them to you.
Oh, okay.
excellent. 'Cause I think the easiest thing to do will be to modify that request to update it with, we can put in that we've had the surveys done, that we had the stones all evaluated. Since then we've done the work in Old North Cemetery, and then we're looking for, and then I'll try to get a number pulled together so we can get pretty close to the amount of funds that we're requesting to complete the work.
Charlie, just as a preview, it was fairly lengthy because at that time, the cemetery work group, I'm not quite sure whether they had engaged the consultant or whether they anticipated the consultant, but there was a lot of the consultant's proposal in the funding request. And most of that, of course, is bygones, is past history. So whatever you get, whatever I send to you, may need to be substantially edited.
Yeah, if you could CC me on it when you send it to Alan, I'll take a look through it. Maybe we can pull out some of the old stuff, input some of the new information we have.
Right.
And I might reach out to Linda Williams, who sits on the committee, and ask if it's better to drown them in information or to keep it a little shorter and sweeter. Because as we know, we've got a 500-page document listing all of the work to be done. I don't know if it's worth including all 500 pages.
Yeah.
Or if we should,
Just give a bibliographic reference and a link to the location.
yeah, that's what we give you. Sounds good.
As I recall, the initial CPA application that we did, this was
Before me.
10, yeah, it was 10, 12 years ago. It was right at the beginning of our
I
commission.
think it's more than.
And my recollection, again, I checked my files. I thought I would have a copy of, and I don't. But my recollection is that the focus there was on Newtown Cemetery because, you know, at that point, we were early on and we were trying to figure out, and at that point, we thought that Newtown was probably the one in worse shape in terms of needing repairs and so on. Oh, one additional thing, don't want to be first flagpole. So anyway, well, I'll check, or when we see what we have at the old CPA application, we'll take a look at that and just, you know, see how that fits into it. So, by the way, when I was at the funeral yesterday or Saturday, the woman who, I don't remember her name.
It was actually yesterday.
Hmm?
You're talking about Dick Mack's funeral?
Yeah.
That was yesterday.
Okay. Seems like it was days ago. Anyway, the woman that came up, she works for the town and she has a connection with the historic things that go on in town. That's why she came over to speak with me. She identified me as for the cemetery.
Wasn't Hillary Rayford Rappaport?
No, it wasn't Hillary. I know Hillary. I had the impression she was a town employee, but I'm not sure. It was not Holly Backus, but it was somebody else. But she also mentioned to me that there is a flagpole that over at Island Lumber that was purchased 2 years ago, apparently by the DPW, maybe
Yeah.
Rob bought it or something. Anyway, it's been stored over at
Island Lumber.
Island Lumber. And it was for Newtown to replace the one that we took down.
Oh.
Whenever that was, you know,
Yeah.
whenever that happened.
Not too long ago.
Yeah, so I thanked her for, I had no idea that there was a flagpole to go up over there. So I haven't had time to go down to Marine Homes or to the other place on the
Island.
number to inquire about it, but apparently there's a,
Well, if there really is, then maybe
Charlie.
Charlie.
And if it belongs to the DPW,
yeah, right. So, yeah, Charlie, maybe you would know, you could find out. But apparently it's a flagpole that was ordered for Newtown Cemetery to replace the one that we took down because the old one was, you know,
And it was a couple of years ago? Oh, my goodness. All right.
well, yeah, so anyway. Another bit of information.
Well, I have something, that if we've gotten to 7 about old and new business.
Yes,
Well, we keep talking about recruiting other people to this committee so that if somebody stands down, we have another person. And I have an idea, but I'd like to run it by my fellow commissioners. Kathy Richin has run for the select board twice, and she.
Kathy Richin.
yes,
And she hasn't prevailed, and I don't think she ever will prevail as long as Cliff keeps taking 800 votes for him. The only way she could win is if she could win over his votes or if he wouldn't run. But she's really interested in doing town stuff. And she's got this background in A, problem solving, and B, finance. And it occurred to me that she could be a very, very valuable cemetery commissioner if she's interested and if you folks are interested. I know her pretty well. We get along well.
She interested.
I don't know. Before I talked to her, I wanted to talk to you
I think
guys.
it's a good idea.
You think I should?
I think anybody we can get to, get interested.
And
But-
she doesn't have a day job that would, our meetings would be
Yeah.
problematic.
I still think that down the line, we need to look for younger people.
We do,
And
but
Lena has resigned as a teacher.
I know.
She might be available next year, but I
But I mean, the thing
haven't said
is,
anything.
we should be drawing it, I think, some people who are interested, both young and not
Yeah,
so
oh,
young,
I agree.
to just tell them about what we do and gauge their interest, because it could happen anytime that all of a sudden we would have an empty position on this
Right.
commission. And it would be good to have somebody in the waiting room.
Yeah,
I think it's a good idea.
Maybe
Yeah, that's
invite her to a meeting.
I was gonna say that the procedure would be to invite her to
Well-
a meeting and to,
If it's all right with you guys, I will bring this up with her and invite her to a meeting, but it can't be before August because I'm not going to be here in the July meeting. I'm going to be off in Finland.
Mhm.
But
September?
I could talk with her about joining us for a visit in August.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
that would be fine.
So everybody agrees I should do that?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Anybody who's interested.
Yeah.
Along those same lines, I had a bit of a stumble, let's put it, in my application for re-upping for cemetery commission. The issue was that on May 1st, I got an email from Erica. And there were 3 attachments to it. One was the application, one was, I forget what the other 2, one was, anyway. And so I flagged it, put it in my email, and then totally forgot about it. I didn't look to it. I was assuming that I would get as we've always done in the past, I would get it written in the mail and so on. So I went down to check. It was the day that the applications closed, that Friday. And so I went to ask, I said, well, where, I haven't received a piece of paper to fill in. And she said, oh, no, you did. It was on an email. That was so I missed the application deadline, which means that Scotty you did put yours in. They had that. There were no other applicants. So she said, well, where there are no other applicants, that we will put you in, but you have to wait until the end of the line or something. So anyway,
So you're on thin ice, Alan.
Yes, you're out there.
You made
putting
it,
those
you made it,
markers
welcome
in.
back. You got it.
I've got 2 comments, Alan.
oh,
Well, we got Lee chiming in from,
Lee?
Yeah, the select board's meeting this evening. I really think you should go and just stand up before them and say, apologies for a miscommunication, but I really do want to be part of commission. And you now have my application. So,
Well, actually, I already did that. After, this was on a Friday afternoon when all this was unfolding, so I emailed Erica. I told her, I said, I take full responsibility. It's my fault. I blew it. I didn't, whatever.
Yeah.
And so she emailed back and said that they, I don't know, whatever it was. So I did. I sent the application in, and I think that was all that was necessary.
But Lee is just saying that you should actually show up physically in person and say,
exactly. I'm running unopposed for roads and right of way, but I still went to let them know of my enthusiasm for that.
Yeah. I did show up last Wednesday. It was a week ago, last Wednesday. to see, but then I had to leave because I had a conflict at 6 o'clock and they were babbling on about whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Brooke Moore, who was sitting in the chair, said, and anybody else who wants to come before us, come next week, which of course is today at 5:30.
Oh,
Do you think it's taken care of, Alan?
I think so. I did email Erica back and I said, I noticed on today's agenda that there's nothing about cemetery commission.
No, that was last week.
that was last week, right?
That was last week. But what Brooke Moore said in closing was, look, we've got, if you're interested, we want to hear from you, even if you're not exactly on the agenda, which is why I'm saying, yes, if you were to show up, say to Erica, hey, just point to me. Everybody knows who I am, but just let them know that I am a real applicant.
Yes, as I said, I did that. I did complete the
No,
application.
I mean physically, be there. That's
Well-
advice. That's advice, Alan. No way would I tell you that you must do that. I said this to my advice. So now part two of my comments backs everybody up because I was busy digging in my file for the CPC grant, which is now in your email. Charlie's already acknowledged it. It was sent in 2009. But that's not my point. I think that when we learned about the new flagpole, we stopped because the old flagpole was sitting in the midst of graves. And I think we felt then that until we had a good ground penetrating radar survey, we didn't really want to spend a lot of money installing it. But that's not to say we should leave it in the lumberyard. It should go to DPW to be kept secure.
I think that's a good point.
Yeah,
I have one more thing before we end up, and I already circulated it. Driving on Surfside Road, not stopped and going and looking at it, but it appears that the white monument paint on the Myakama Indian Burial Ground stone has somehow
Faded?
faded in the top
Top
left
left?
corner.
I saw that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll go touch it up.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
No problem. So
Great.
before you go to Finland, well, you're leaving Saturday.
Yeah, no, but
I have a big thing on Friday. But yeah, we'll take care of it.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. And I'm done.
where are you going this time?
No, she's going.
Oh,
I'm going.
He's going with you.
Public safety.
Okay, is there anything else to come before the meeting this afternoon? With that, then, I declare we are at the end of our agenda and the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.
All right.
And once again, thank you for your patience. It was 15 minutes out of your life until we could get the Zoom connected.
We're grateful because otherwise I'd be doing the minutes.
No, I'd be watching the video.
Have a wonderful journey.
Thank you. It's kind of an interesting one. It's a ceremonial